My name is Beatrice. I am 83 years old, and I want to tell you something nobody said to me when I was your age, something I had to learn the slow, lonely way. After 60, the world begins to shift. Friends move or fade. Some don't make it. Your body asks more of you, and if you're not careful, life quietly starts to shrink until one day you look around and realize you've become entirely dependent on other people just to get through a Tuesday. I've watched it happen to women I've loved dearly. I was terrified it would happen to me. What saved me wasn't family. It wasn't good luck or good genes. It was 5 things I built inside myself deliberately, imperfectly, year by year. I call them my 5 pillars, and today I want to give them to you. The first pillar is the most physical and the most urgent, your ability to move. When I was 75, I woke one morning and couldn't straighten my knees. I sat on the edge of the bed, gripping the nightstand, trembling, not from pain, from fear, because I understood in that moment what losing your legs actually means. It doesn't mean you need a stick. It means you need permission. Permission to leave the house. Permission to go to the kitchen. Permission from whoever happens to be nearby. I refused. That morning I started walking. 30 minutes. Every single day. Not power walking. Not the gym, just walking. I added gentle movements, ankle circles in my chair, knee lifts, shoulder rolls, small things, consistent things. 8 years on, I still walk to the shops. I still carry my own bags. And because of that, I still choose my own hours, my own outings, my own life. Your body is not just your health, it is your autonomy. Move it not because you enjoy it every day, but because the day you stop is the day you begin asking for permission. The second pillar is learning to need less. And I mean that both financially and emotionally. 2 years after my husband Jeffrey died, I sat at the kitchen table, staring at bills for a house that felt hollow. Too many rooms, too much upkeep, a life-sized monument to a life that no longer existed. I was spending money maintaining an identity rather than living one. So I made a decision that my children thought was strange. I sold the house, bought a small flat on 1 floor, paid in full, and simplified everything. I cooked simply. I stopped buying things I didn't need. I stopped performing a version of my old life. What I found on the other side surprised me, not poverty, freedom. When your life costs little, no one holds the keys to it. You don't owe anyone a favor. You don't swallow your pride to ask for help you shouldn't need. You don't smile through resentment, yours or theirs. Needing less is not giving up. It is the quiet, radical act of taking your power back. The third pillar is your health, and I want to be very clear with you. Health at this stage of life is not luck. It is the accumulated result of 10,000 small decisions. I know women who treated their bodies well for decades and still got ill. I'm not promising you immunity. What I'm telling you is this: the habits you build now determine how much of your remaining life you spend living it versus managing the consequences of ignoring it. I started taking health seriously at 70, not obsessively sensibly. Real food, 8 hours of sleep, a walk every morning, a checkup each year, whether I felt I needed one or not. Not because I was frightened, because I understood that prevention is dignity and neglect is expensive. I don't say this to make anyone feel guilty about the past. The past is done. But if you're watching this at 60, 65, even 75, the choices you make this week still matter more than you think. Begin now. Begin small. Begin anyway. The fourth pillar is the one nobody prepares you for: resilience. The ability to absorb loss and keep walking. Jeffrey died when I was 66. We had 41 years together. When he was gone, I felt as though someone had reached into my chest and removed something structural. I didn't just miss him. I didn't know who I was without him. I want to be honest with you about what came next, because I think people make grief sound either too devastating or too tidy. It was neither. I cried. I sat in his chair. I talked to him when no one was listening. And I also slowly, stubbornly kept my routines, kept walking, kept my Tuesday lunches with my sister, kept showing up to my own life, even when it felt like someone else's. Not because I was brave, because I had seen the alternative. I had watched a dear friend surrender herself entirely to her grief, stop going out, stop seeing people, stop being herself, and wait for her children to fill what nothing could fill. She didn't find comfort. She found a smaller and smaller life. Resilience isn't hardness. It isn't pretending it doesn't hurt. It's the willingness to grieve fully and still get up, to let the loss change you without letting it end you. Nobody can build this for you in advance, but you can practice it now, in the smaller losses, the friend who moves away, the role you retire from, the version of yourself you leave behind. Every time you grieve something honestly and keep going, you are building the muscle you will need. The fifth pillar is the hardest one to name and the most important one to keep. Knowing who you are and refusing to give that up. After a certain age, the world begins to make decisions on your behalf. Kindly, mostly, with the best of intentions. Your children worry. Doctors speak over you. Society looks at your age and fills in the rest of the sentence. If you don't know clearly what you value, what you will and won't accept, what kind of life feels worth living, others will decide. And you'll spend your remaining years living their answer. When my daughters suggested I consider a care home just to be safe, just while I'm still well enough to choose, I said no. Not sharply, not resentfully. Simply, I told her, while I can manage my own life, I will manage my own life. If that changes, we'll talk. But it hasn't changed, and I am still here, in my own flat, on my own terms. Knowing yourself doesn't mean being inflexible. It means knowing the difference between a reasonable adjustment and a surrender. It means asking always, whose life is this? So those are the 5 pillars: your mobility, your simplicity, your health, your resilience, your sense of self. I am not telling you your family doesn't love you. I am sure they do. I am telling you that love is not the same as support, and support is not the same as independence. The people who love you have their own lives, their own worries, their own grief. The kindest thing you can do for them and for yourself is to need them for love, not for survival. Build these pillars now. Not perfectly, not all at once, but begin. because I promise you at 83, you won't look back and regret the discipline. You will only regret the waiting.